besties. I'm loving being here tonight. So, I work in an aftercare program with kids from kindergarten through 5th grade. One day, a kid came up to me and told me that another kid had phantom taxed him. Huh? Normally, kids come up to me and they try to be funny, so I thought that he was just saying some random gibberish. So I was like, what are you doing? We're supposed to be eating snack right now. Honestly, at this moment, I was annoyed. The busiest time of day is when kids get off the bus, and we have to corral them to sit and eat their snack so we can take attendance for about 100 kids. But he said again that he had been phantom taxed. Then I knew it was serious because he had this worried look in his face and in his voice. So we asked him, what do you mean? He told me that phantom tax means to jokingly take a bite out of someone's food. What? Phantom tax is stealing? WTF. Okay, now I knew what the problem was. I went over to the offender and told him that we don't take food from other people without asking. Have you ever noticed how words go in and out of vogue? Words have become trends. For example, bell-bottoms are trending on social media. Raise your hand if you are wearing bell-bottoms right now. They're trending. And so is saying words like nonchalant, manifesting, brain rot, polarization, and brat. Slang is changing more rapidly than ever due to the breadth of our communication feeds. Personally, I blame it all on social media. For example, Riz was Oxford Dictionary's 2023 word of the year, and hardly anyone ever uses it anymore. 100 years before Riz was coined, the word of the year was Hollywood. Hollywood is still used today, yet Riz isn't. It's going out of style. Why? So I read this article in which lexicographer Emily Brewster, a senior editor at Merriam-Webster, was like, we, all of us, in the 21st century, have access to the informal language of millions of people. And that was never true before. To add on to that, sociolinguist Jesse Grieser, an assistant professor of English linguistics at the University of Tennessee, said that today we have much more lightweight contact with other people than ever before. Today, you can easily interact with 10 times the number of people from many different cultures all across the world than my parents could when they were my age. We do this simply by scrolling through TikTok, Facebook, or my personal nemesis, Instagram Reels. Different generations have different ways of using language and communication methods. This causes problems during intergenerational communication and leads to less understanding between generations. Older generations use language to show professionalism and authority, while younger generations use language for efficiency and brevity. This difference in the formality of language used can and have caused misunderstanding and judgment. Haute École Commerciale Paris, Professor Anne-Laure Cellier has talked about this issue. She says, I often read that Gen Zs are the worst people to work with and that they're unmanageable. Ouch. But to me, it's more of an issue of language norms used than a fundamentally different look at the world. Gen Z isn't unmanageable. We just have different values as a generation. Instead of placing emphasis on tradition, which older generations do, we place emphasis on efficiency and embracing new tools. People are often judged for the language that they use. To better illustrate this point, I want you to answer a question. What does it mean to you when I say the word like? If you were from an older generation, it probably conjures up an image in your head of young people overusing it and improperly using it. At least, that is what it does for my parents. They're constantly telling my siblings and I to stop using the word like so much. Sociolinguist Valerie Friedland argues that the reality with like is that it has come into our language because it serves some really important purposes for us. No one starts using a word because it is pointless. For example, if I'm gossiping with a friend, I'm on the couch and I'm talking dramatically into the phone, and I go, wait, like that's so crazy because I overheard her and she was like, I texted him yesterday. In this instance, I am using like in two different ways. The first way is as a filled pause. A filled pause is a way to indicate to the person that you are conversing with that you aren't done speaking yet, but that you need more time to gather your thoughts before you continue. I do this when I say, wait, like. A filled pause is often used by using filler words such as you know, well, and so. The second way I use like is as a quotative like. According to Merriam-Webster, a quotative is a functioned word used in informal contexts to introduce a quotation. Instead of saying, wait, like that's so crazy, and I overheard her, and she said, I texted him yesterday, I said, I overheard her, and she was like, I texted him yesterday. So I'm not using the word like wrong. I'm just using it how my generation would use it. Like can also be used to establish subjectivity and imprecision. People often confuse imprecision with uncertainty. And so people who use like are perceived as being vacuous and empty-headed, which is why there is such negativity surrounding the word like. By the way, Gen Z inherited the modern like from millennials. So it's not really our fault that we use it so much. I, for one, blame the millennials. But all of this goes to show that the use of one simple word can affect how people see you. Our generational diction reflects how people view us. And it's not dope if you aren't aware of this. Slang causes misunderstandings across generations. In a short 200-word piece, an Axios writer wrote about the struggles of being a millennial writer with a baby boomer editor. In one of her articles, he inserted the phrase, insider dope. She was confused because her piece wasn't about marijuana. It turns out that insider dope is baby boomer slang for insider information. Like, how could she know that? When the kid in my program came up to me and said that another kid had phantom taxed him, I immediately thought less of him because he wasn't using the language that I used. But then I asked him what he meant, and he explained his Gen A slang. I realized that he used that expression, or as my generation and millennials would call it, brain rot, because he is from a different generation than I am, and that is how he talks with his friends. According to your favorite childhood hero, Mr. Rogers, there are 3 ways to have success when interacting with others. The first way is to be kind. The second way is to be kind. The third way is to be kind. So the next time that you see someone trying to manifest some kind of mental clarity because they're spiraling from brain rot after 5 straight hours of doom scrolling, maybe don't get all dramatic. Just be nonchalant for once. We're all trying to exist or whatever. And for real, staying curious about how people talk is the only way to keep up in a world where language is shifting every other day. Thank you.